I pretty much I just leave the camera set up, and then whatever, if I go through an episode or something like that, I'll go ahead and record it, or not record it, but at least record some of these feelings and everything that I'm going through, and to give everybody a kind of an insight of the hell that we kind of go through. Um, it's up and down, most of the time. Um, the meds I got up this morning, I may look a little rough, but um, I feel a lot of emotions this morning. Um, I don't know quite what to talk about. The medication is good, but it really makes you shaky, and you can't type. You try to type or respond, and everybody's been real good, but seems like my fingers and my brain and body are not working in sync together to where what I'm thinking comes out. So it takes a while for me to type something, because it's letters just get all messed up. But I just want to kind of give y'all a little insight into some of this stuff. The shakiness, which is it's kind of like a tremor in a way. It just hits, and usually takes two hands with a cup of coffee. But I think today I want to kind of just because it's been an emotional morning for me, with these feelings, I wanted to kind of I wanted to talk about how God came into my life. I talked about being up at Bridgeway for that period of time, and I met some very interesting folks, people, victims, such as myself, and I did not quite know what to pull from that. Um, I think God puts you in places for a reason. Always before this, I would always ask, I would be mad and angry at God. I would always say stuff like, where were you during all this assault and all these rapes and these people abusing me? Um, um, I never could get that connection or that feeling with God that everybody talks about. Um, so I think I spent Easter Sunday up at the Bridgeway because I think that's was meant to be. That was my path. Um, so I wanted to kind of give you a little feeling of what it was like for my Easter Sunday, because it was very special for me. And I don't know, I'm just got a lot of anxiety this morning. Um, being in Bridgeway, there was a there was a they had the day room, which was like a TV, and it was just public for everybody. They wanted you to be there in there most of the time. The groups were held in there, and it's the one that overlooked the garden with the azaleas and stuff like that. There was a separate room over on the other side of the hallway, which was the quiet room, and it was a real it was a quiet room. You could go in there. They had a table set up. This is about the size of a card table. There was basically four chairs around it, a couple other chairs, a little table, bookcase. You could read, you could journal. It was just a quiet place that you could get away from all the noise of the other room with people talking and the TV loud and stuff like that. So there was a little lady in there, and we called her name was Donna, but we always referred to her as Miss Donna. She was an older lady. She stayed in chairs or in a wheelchair most of the time, and then they would, she stayed in her room. She just was extremely depressed, and so when I would talk to her, I'd go by and I'd pat her on the back, give her a hug. Some positive stuff like I always do with the hugs. But there was something about her. It was just was. It was sad. It was real depressed. Uh, then she would have on. It was Easter Sunday. Her she had a phone call, and these phones were up about chest high. And then her in the wheelchair, we would roll her over to there, and we'd take the phone off the hook and give it to her, and then she would kind of talk. But she was just a real sad person, and she would kind of cry when she talked. She would just, I can't make it, and she'd always look down. Um, Never would make eye contact with you, but she would talk to you, but it would be real soft. It was a real soft, painful, a lot of sadness in her voice. But she had talked on the phone. This was Easter Sunday, and she talked on the phone, and then she got off the phone. And when I came back through, I know she was just sitting there underneath the phone, and I asked her, I said, Miss Donna, I said, are you okay? And she said, she just looked up, but never opened her eyes, and she said, I don't know why I chose you. And I was like, or I picked you. And I'm like, I said, ma'am? I said, what now? And she said, I don't know why I picked you. And I didn't quite understand what she was talking about, but she said, I need to tell you something. So I rolled her into the quiet room because it was nobody in there at the time. And I moved one of the chairs, and I rolled her up to where the table was, and they had a large window on the side wall. It was just beautiful. It overlooked the mountains, and I had made sure that she was facing outside there to get some of the sun and to feel a little, some brightness and stuff. And she proceeded to tell me about all these suicides that had happened in her family, as far as I think it might have been a dad, a brother. I mean, it was just so many. There were 5 different people that she had been associated with the suicides, and some she had found. And I don't quite get. I just realized the suicide link between me and her, but I never had thought about that. But so she was real serious, and she's telling me this stuff. She's still looking down. She's all into this, and there was a young girl that was probably 19 years old in there with us. She'd come in a couple of days before I left. Very energetic. She was schizophrenic, and she was all over the board. Every time she was anywhere she would go, it was just loudness. It was giggling. It was, and then she would kind of snap and go off. It was just loud, 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 and it just raised our anxiety. So I would always get to where I would kind of be away from her, because it was real hard to be around her because of the anxiety that it would bring to me, and a lot of the others felt the same way. But everybody's got a problem. That's why we're there. So, but she come in. She knocked on the. Well, she didn't really knock on the door. She just kind of come in the room. She's always right, kind of in your face kind of thing, and she had her little journal and her pen, and she runs. She comes in there at a fast pace, sits down at the table. It's kind of abrupt. So I got me on right here, Miss Donna sitting there, and then Morgan gets over there, and she starts writing in her book, and just it's like we're not even in the room. So and I'm thinking, so Miss Donna continues to tell her story, and then there was another girl named Tasha that came in, and she was a lovely black woman. She bipolar was her problem, but could sing unbelievably. The voice that she had was just phenomenal. But she comes in singing, and her voice is so loud and stuff, and it was such a moment that I felt like Miss Donna was kind of letting out some of this stuff. And so I looked up and I just put my hand on my mouth like that so she would know that Miss Donna was having like a moment, to where she was getting some stuff out, and it's the most I'd heard her talk. So she comes over and sits down to my left. So then you've got me, Tasha, Morgan, and then Miss Donna. So, and then this is where it gets very interesting, because Miss Donna just kind of stops in the middle of this story, and she looks up over at Tasha and she goes, "Can you sing me a song? Your voice is beautiful, And she's kind of looking down still, but she's talking to Tasha. And so Tasha starts singing a church hymn. And it's just beautiful. I mean, her voice is just phenomenal. She could just sing so good, and you could tell it was coming from her heart. And then Miss Donna just raises her head up, opens her eyes, bluest eyes I've ever seen. Beautiful, beautiful blue eyes she had. And then she starts singing. This woman who stayed in a chair, in her bed, in a wheelchair, would just started singing, and it was absolutely beautiful, her voice. And she just looked straight into Tasha's eyes while she was singing. And then all of a sudden Morgan starts singing. And this is the schizophrenic that's been running around at 100 miles per hour, with a dead serious look on her face, and she's singing the same exact song that they're singing, and she knows every word. And it's a beautiful voice. It's smooth, with a country twist to it. I mean, she's just sounded like a country singer singing these gospel songs. So you had Tasha, who had all this soul and compassion. You had Morgan, who was all over the place with this country sound, and then you had Miss Donna with just a beautiful voice singing. So all these voices are singing this same song, and I'm hearing it and I'm feeling it, and I realize that this is that God's talking to me through this voice. Here I was dealing with all this heartache and pain from my past that had happened to me, with the blackouts, attempts to suicide, all this stuff. And here I'm in the room with basically an old lady that is extremely depressed, and sad. I'm in the room with a schizophrenic, and then somebody that's bipolar. So here we are, four misfits: bipolar, schizophrenic, depression, and I don't know what all else in me. And I just wept. I was holding Miss Donna's hand, and I just laid my hand on my head on my shoulder, and I just wept. And then I realized it was at that moment that God was speaking to me. That through all this pain, through all this anger, God had come into my heart at that moment. And I realized that I was supposed to be there, that all of this has happened for a reason, and that I was supposed to be there at that moment on Easter Sunday. And so they get through singing the song, and Miss Donna just looks up, she closes her eyes, and she said, "This is the day that He has risen." This is the day He has risen. I mean, I don't even know how she even knew it was Easter. And all this was going on. And then she continues to teach Tasha a song that she knows. And before you know it, they've got me singing, and I can't sing. But I know at that moment that God came into my heart, and I know He's wanted me to not be silent about this and to not just kind of keep it hush hush and tell people I've had, I've been in the hospital for surgery or some stupid stuff like that, but that there's a purpose and a meaning for what I'm supposed to do. He's to guide me where I'm going on this journey of healing, but I'm also supposed to help others that have been caught up in the system, the people that do not have a support system, that do not have a family, and I'm not going to let them down. So each of these tapes or videos will probably get harder and harder, but with each time I'm just going to leave the camera up and I'm going to record the real moments so you can kind of see what's going on. And then I also want to do one for spouses or partners or people that live with somebody that's been abused, because it's just as rough. It's just as harder on family and friends and loved ones than it is just about on, we're all victims to this, so I want to post those too, but I felt like this needed, God is working through me, and I felt like I needed to share this testimony because it's through Him I'm healing. He gave me He put me at the places to get help. He put these people on earth to help me and others, so I'm going to pass the word and get help and get others well. So thank you.